Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the set diagrams or generalization of set classification. So you understand that there is disjoint and overlapping and complete and incompleteness. Disjoint is not another fancy word for non-overlapping. From like critique from countries like us where we were taught English since young. We often use the word non-overlapping and overlapping instead, but here we use disjoint. So disjoint is just another word for non-overlapping. So you have four scenarios: disjoint and complete, disjoint and incomplete, overlapping and complete, overlapping and incomplete. Do not confuse between disjoint and overlapping. There is no such thing as disjoint and overlapping and disjoint and non-overlapping. There's no such thing. Don't confuse yourself. So so what is uh okay, not this. So what is disjoint and complete? Disjoint means that inside, let's say, look at it, you have a superclass, which is the square box itself, and inside the square box of a superclass, we have two subclass or two circles, and these two circles do not overlap. So therefore, they are disjoint, or also known as non-overlapping. Can I take my screen? Yeah. So so we know that this is non-overlapping. So every member inside this subclass or every member is inside a subclass. So we have no members on the outside. So therefore we call this complete. If we look over incompleteness, we have members that are outside the subclass. This is a subclass. So we have members outside the subclass. So therefore we call this incompleteness. Here every member is inside a subclass. So this is complete. And overlapping means you have two subclass that overlap each other. And overlapping and incompleteness means not only do the two subclass overlap each other, but you have members that are outside. So an example of um, the overlapping and so an example of the non-overlapping and complete, which is also known as disjoint and incomplete, is that imagine if I have a superclass called library users and I have two subclass called adults and teenagers. So in adults, I want to categorize the properties of the adult, which is people who are aged above 18, and teenagers who are below the age of 18, but yet they are still above the age of 13. So, adults cannot be teenagers and teenagers cannot be adults. So, and anybody who's above the age of 18 will be an adult. Anybody who's below the age of 18 will be a teenager. So this is called non-overlapping or disjoint. Is disjoint yet also complete. So when we go to an example of disjoint and incomplete, disjoint and incomplete means that when we have library users, we have we have adults and teenagers. So anyone who is above 18 will be an adult. Anybody who's below 18 will be a teenager. But they have to also, but for to be a teenager, you also have to be above the age of 13. So anybody who is below the age of 13 will be considered a child. However, we did not make subclass child or children here. So therefore, they do not belong. These children here do not belong to any of the adult or teenager subclass. Therefore, this is called incompleteness. So, so if we were to have a superclass and we introduce the same number of members, but I now create a new subclass called child, and this is called adults, and these are called teenagers. And as you saw that adults we have three members, and teens we have three members, and in child we had what was initially four members on the outside. Now I put four members on the inside, and therefore they are now part of a newly created subclass. Therefore, now this has gone from incompleteness to completeness. Uh, So this is to give you the understanding of incomplete and sub incomplete and completeness. Maybe I should just kept that. That's fine. So yeah, so that is the idea. So now we have the next scenario, which is overlapping and complete. And overlapping and complete is that we have can I erase this? Let me see. Oh, I can erase this. Yeah, erase this as well. So in yeah, am I writing now? I'm not writing. Can you see now? Really? Oh, okay. Mm, okay, if you're not seeing, it's fine. But you understood what I said in the beginning, right? Because I think it's using the. How do I cannot stop the recording. I think. Yeah. So I don't have. I. Oh, yeah. Sorry. So overlapping and complete means that we have business customers and we have a superclass of business bank customers, and we have a subclass of private and business customers. So in overlapping and complete means that private customers can be business customers and business customers can be private customers. So as we see here that these are private customers and these are business customers, and there are people who are both. However, it's a bit confusing when we use business and private, because where are the public businesses? There is no public businesses, public customers at all. So it's where the public customer, there are no public customers. So that's a bit confusing to use this analogy. So a simpler analogy would be, we would say the people inside the left subclass are German. Let me use a different color. German students or German citizens. Yeah, they have German passports, and the people on the right side are Indian. Uh, Indian students with Indian passports. And in between, we have people who have dual passport, and they are both Indian and German citizens, and they have both passports. So this is called overlapping. We have members who overlapping and complete. Everybody has a passport. Everybody has a passport that is either German or Indian. And overlapping means we have people who not only have a passport, but they can be both and have two passports. So if how do I make this into incomplete? I want it to stay in overlapping and incomplete. Overlapping and incomplete would mean that I introduce another member out on the outside, and I call these members, for example, Malaysians, for example, and they do not belong to the German subclass, and neither do they belong to the Indian subclass. So therefore, they are on the outside of the spectrum that we have. So therefore, this is considered now overlapping and incomplete. And then if we go down here, we have what is it? We have overlapping and incomplete. If we can see here, another example of overlapping and incomplete is that we have a superclass of vehicles, and then we have land crafts and sea crafts. So we have boats that are also have they do also have wheels, and they can go on land actually at the same time they can go in the water in the river. So this I don't know code, maybe they would call it code, right? It doesn't make sense to call it a code. It's like a boat and a car. They belong to this group, so therefore it's overlapping. And the people that belong on the outside, perhaps here and here, are considered are planes. Planes are still vehicles, but they do not go to the subclass of landcraft and seacrafts. Therefore, we call this land. We call this incomplete. Incomplete means not every member belongs to any of the subclass. Not all members belong to a subclass. That is the real definition of it. So if we go back to what we've just talked about in the early beginning, the definition of disjoint means that an instance of the supertype can belong to at most, does not mean at least, it's the opposite of at least, so it's at most one subtype. So disjoint means every member of a superclass belongs to at maximum one subclass. And an example would be a person who is we create a superclass called person with the subclass of student and employees. Disjoint means there are people or person that are either students or employees, but they are never both. So therefore, these are never both. They are never any person or any member who are both. Therefore, it's not overlapping and it's disjoint because disjoint means non-overlapping. And then we have complete and incompleteness. So remember I said is disjoint and complete, disjoint and incomplete, overlapping and complete, overlapping and incomplete. So we go to the definition of complete. What is complete? Complete, also known as an executive, means that every instance or members of the supertype or superclass must be a member of at least one subclass or subtype. So it means that every member belongs somewhere. Every member belongs to one subclass. We cannot have a member that is not within any subclass at all. So if there's a revise, is that if I have this or if I have this, everybody has is inside a subclass. So we have nobody that is on the outside, nobody on the outside. This is complete and this is incomplete. I can't erase that right now. Can I? So incomplete, it means that every member of a supertype must be a member or at least of part of one subtype, one subclass. An example would be if person is a supertype and it is complete, then every person must either be a student or employee. It means everybody is within one subclass of a student or subclass of employee. Disjoint and complete means every instance of supertype must belong to at least one subtype. It means that an example is if it is disjoint and complete, each person must be either student or employee, but never both. But they can and there can be no person that's neither a student nor employee. So given this description alone, we would say that this is what it is. It is like this. It is disjoint and then complete. It means everybody is inside. Disjoint and incomplete means you have it's separated and it's like this, and then there are people outside. Example is the same person. If it's disjoint incomplete, a person can I okay, let's read it together. A person can either be a student or an employee, but never both. Therefore, we do not have an overlapping. And it's also possible for a person to be neither a student nor employee, so they're on the outside. So they belong to neither of these groups. So that is destroy and complete and destroy and complete. So yeah, so that's exactly what I just said. So yeah, so going to the next one, overlapping and complete. The overlapping and disjoin means that um overlapping versus disjoin. Yeah, so this is a good the explanation between overlapping and disjoin. This wait, this is overlapping and this is disjoin. Complete and incomplete means everybody is inside a subclass. It means that every person must be either a student or employee or even both. It's still complete. This is this is complete. This is complete. Um, and overlapping and complete. In an example, in a person hierarchy is overlapping and complete. Every person must either be a student or employee or both. And there can be nobody who are neither. So he says because he says or both, this represents the overlapping part. So this would be like this. You have students and employees. Oh, sorry, students, employees, and people who are both. And then overlapping and incomplete would be For example, in the same person hierarchy, it is overlapping and incomplete. A person can be student and employee both or neither. So it means like this. Like this, it's either student and employee, both or neither. So it's on the outside. So that's what the meaning means. So perhaps in the exam, you could probably anticipate a question would be maybe like, when I was in secondary school in Singapore, they did ask a question when I was 15 years old in the ninth grade. Or in Singapore, we say sec 3, secondary 3. It was like if I gave you a diagram like this, um, maybe like this, like this, and you would probably ask to give a detailed description about which is overlapping and complete, and which are non-overlapping and incomplete. But I do not think the professor in our university would ask us a question like this, because that would probably take up too much time and we'll not have enough time for other sort of questions. Now I have a problem, I cannot stop the recording.